So come back in, Dr. Carlton. Do you have any favorite butt songs?
I even did a TikTok video about songs I shouldn't play during a colonoscopy. And the first song was Like a Virgin. The second one was Baby Got Back.
Mhm.
The third was Ring of Fire. The fourth was Wide Open Spaces. And after that was Everybody Hurts. And then the last one was In Too Deep.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that is so fun. So let's talk about colonoscopies. All right. So,
Sure.
What age do you think that people, I don't want to discriminate men because everyone should get a colonoscopy.
Right.
What age should they start? And tell us about that. And what should they expect if they've never had one before?
Colonoscopy is really crucial in the prevention of colon cancer. Colon cancer is the third leading cancer killer among Americans. So, in overall, we have lung cancer as number one, in women, breast cancer number two, and then colon cancer. In men, it's lung, and then lung, and then colon and prostate are usually kind of neck and neck with two and three. So you have polyps, which are the things that grow and change into cancer. You do a colonoscopy and take those out, you don't get colon cancer. And stage 1 colon cancer, if found in stage 1, stage 2, has a really remarkably high cure rate. But if you let it go to stage 3 or 4, it's not very good. It's about a 14% 5-year survival rate in stage 4 colon cancer. And the sad thing is it's preventable with colonoscopy. So when it comes to pure screening age, the associations in the United States have recently dropped the screening age recommendation from 50 to 45, which means as a 50-year-old man in a couple of months, I'm suddenly overdue and I have my colonoscopy already scheduled. In the general population with no symptoms at all, 45. Some insurances haven't caught up to it yet and still say 50. So check with your insurance provider to make sure that you're covered at age 45 if you go earlier than 50. If you have symptoms, that's a whole different story. So if you have rectal bleeding, changes in bowel habits, abdominal pain, unintentional weight loss, that's not a screening exam. That's a diagnostic exam and needs to be done to just check and make sure everything's okay. I diagnosed a couple of people under age 40 with children under 15 with stage 4 colon cancer in this past year. So really, really, really crucial and important to get your colonoscopies done if you're having symptoms. And then if you have a family history of colon cancer, even more crucial. For family history, the recommendation is age 40 or 10 years prior to the onset of the colon cancer in the first degree family member. So if your mother had colon cancer at 35, you get your colonoscopy at 25. If your mother had colon cancer at 55, you get it at 40. If at 45, you get it at 35. So age 40 or 10 years prior to the onset of the cancer, whichever comes first. As far as what to expect for colonoscopy, sorry about that.
No.
Yeah, so the day before is really the only hard part. You do a clear liquid diet the whole day and a laxative solution to flush out. Go to the bathroom an awful lot. We actually have made it better by making it taste like Gatorade, the stuff that you drink. So you mix a bottle of Miralax powder, 238 grams and 64 ounces of Gatorade. It flushes everything right out. It tastes like Gatorade. So the horror stories about the way that the stuff tastes is a thing of the past. The day of you come in fasting, you get some great drugs, you get knocked out, you don't feel a thing, you don't remember a thing. It's pretty amazing. And we do our thing.
What do you hear about when people say, no, I don't want that? I don't want anybody messing around back there. What do you say to them?
You know, I explain the risk of colon cancer and how easy it is to prevent it. I also really reiterate how the day before is the only hard part, that the day of they won't even feel it or remember it, and they'll even laugh about it afterwards. And I frequently tell them stories about how I've even had friends that I've done colonoscopies on that I talked to after the procedure even, and they still didn't remember me talking to them.
I remember you. So how many of them do you do now that we're out of right now, a little break from the COVID pandemic? How many do you do a week or daily or whatever?
Well, I do 2 to 3 days of colonoscopy and endoscopy a week, and when I have an endoscopy day, I do anywhere from 18 to 22 in a day.
Wow. So how do people from different cultures handle that? Is there a difference in the cultures?
Well, definitely there's a bit more machismo in certain cultures that I deal with. I find particularly, especially Latino men here in San Diego are the hardest people to really get to come in for preventive examinations. I have a funny story about it. I had this one guy. I didn't speak Spanish at the time. I speak Spanish now, but at the time I didn't speak Spanish. And he came in and said, "Oh, I don't want anything up my butt. I don't want anything up my butt. I don't want anything up my butt." And so I convinced him to still have his colonoscopy. He comes in, he gets a little bit of the medication to sedate him. He's not quite out yet, but he's feeling really good. And I lubricate my finger, insert it in the rectum to do the rectal examination and lube things up to put the camera in. And he uttered something under his breath. And my lab tech, who is completely fluent in Spanish, just busted out laughing. And I said, "What are you laughing about?" And he said, "I think I kind of like it."
Ay, caramba.
So yeah, I mean, I deal with a lot of different issues. Especially in San Diego, we have a huge population of people who have migrated from Afghanistan or Iraq, and especially women don't want a male to do the procedure. But luckily, I have 2 female partners, so that's usually taken care of.
What's the difference between women and men? Or is there? Am I being ignorant here?
When it comes to colonoscopies, it's usually easier in men than in women because women oftentimes, not universally, oftentimes have had children, have had C-sections, have had hysterectomies, have had a lot of abdominal surgeries, and usually men haven't had a whole lot of abdominal surgery. So there's not much scar tissue there. It's just really super easy to get around in men. But it's still it's equally important in men and in women to get it done.
We've talked about the serious stuff, colonoscopies, the colon cancers and everything. Those are things that have to be done. So let's talk about some fun stuff now.
Absolutely. That's why I'm here.
Yes. What are some of the questions that people come in and say, I want to get started into having some anal action?
Well, I think there's a couple of my early videos talk about this, about how there's 3 keys: preparation, relaxation, and lubrication. Okay, so preparation, the number one fear and number one topic of controversy that I have on social media is douching. More people are freaked out about douching than any other topic on the internet, it seems, when it comes to my area.
Now, is this enemas? Are you talking about enemas?
Yeah, just so using enemas to clean out.
We have your clip about enemas, so let's watch that. Sure.
Store-bought enemas often contain harsh chemicals that can irritate the lining of your rectum, leading to increased risk for STI transmission as well as increased cramping. Who wants that? But the delivery device is really awesome in a pinch. Dump out the solution, rinse the bottle, refill with lukewarm water so you don't burn yourself, make sure the tip is well lubricated, insert, repeat until you're clear. The more you know.
So the fleet enemas, are those in the plastic bottles? You're saying those are harmful? There's something in there harmful?
Well, the fleet enemas the bottles are great. They're awesome, especially if you're traveling or if you're in a pinch. They're great delivery devices, but they often contain phosphate. And phosphate the reason it works is it irritates your rectum to cramp and empty so that you get motility down there to empty things out. But at the same time, those phosphates can irritate the lining of the rectum, and irritation in the rectum is a risk factor for STI transmission, including gonorrhea, chlamydia, but also HIV. So it's really important not to use chemical-based enemas. A lot of times, even the fleet enemas that say saline on them, if you look on the side of them, it says that they contain phosphates. So that's why I recommend just dumping out the solution and using water. A lot of people freak out about, if you use water, that's not good for your flora, or that's not good for your overall pH, or you could wear away the lining of your rectum if you douche. Trust me, after doing this for 20 years professionally, I've never seen a case of, oops, he douched too much. So I don't get freaked out about using water for cleaning out. Now, if in fact you do use water too much, and that can be different for different people. Too much is when it starts affecting your daily bowel habits. If you start affecting your daily bowel habits, like you can't go without douching, then there's a problem, and that's when you need to stop. But in general, all these 25-year-olds on TikTok who come on and say, oh, you shouldn't douche, you should just eat a high fiber diet, have clearly never had an experience with a larger task that required an empty chamber. And honestly, having an empty chamber just makes things feel better down there. You don't want to have, especially if you're, like I said, if you're taking on a larger task, you don't want to have that phenomenon happening down there.
Now, I read somewhere, probably on the interwebs, who knows where, that during the pandemic, that a lot of men started experimenting with some anal pleasure. Did you get contacted by any, or do you have any question or suggestions for people who are trying out vibrators or any other toys?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that everybody needs to know, straight, gay, bi, whatever, that area has a lot of nerve fibers. It's rich in nerve fibers, and our G-spot is located back there. So if your partner is bent over and facing away from you, and you're behind them, it's down at 6 o'clock and a couple of inches in. If they're on their back and looking at you, it's about at 12 o'clock, a couple of inches in. So, that's where the G-spot is. So clearly straight guys and people who are strict tops really miss out on a lot of pleasure by missing stimulation in that area. So yes, with my Instagram and my TikTok, I get questions from people all around the world. And one of the tragic things is a lot of people who come from countries where it's illegal to be gay and they could be executed for being gay, contact me and say, hey, listen, if I have a problem here, I don't know what to do. If I go to the doctor and I show them this sore on my butthole and it turns out to be a sexually transmitted infection, I could get executed. Please help me. So a lot of people don't realize that, while I talk about douching and anal and butts and stuff like that, that I deal with a lot of serious stuff behind the scenes that people have no idea about. And I provide a private service for people for free. Hey, listen, if you have an issue and you're afraid to talk to anybody, come to me on my Instagram and message me on my Instagram. I will answer whatever you ask and give you my opinion. And go ahead.
Well, we have plenty more to talk about, but right now we'll be back. We're going to talk about poppers. We're going to talk about bidets and bottoming, what bottoming is all about. So hang in there, doctor.